In this video, I will show you how to find missing parts of similar triangles. I think the most important thing is matching up corresponding parts first, corresponding sides, corresponding angles. And we can get that from the similarity statement. So notice that angle S is corresponding with angle L. And you can see that by the way they're marked as well. But this gives you the correlation between all three angles. Now let's look at the sides though, since in this case we're being asked to find sides. So we can see that side ST corresponds with side LM. Okay, so here's ST and here is LM. All right, now what about side NL? Because I see we have a number over there. Okay, so side NL, I better erase these marks so I can show you what I'm talking about. Here is NL, is kind of the beginning and end here. So that's going to correspond with SU. So NL corresponds with SU. So it's very important to make sure that you match up the corresponding parts. So now, the other thing is to pick one triangle and call it new, and pick one and call it old. It doesn't really matter which one is new and which one is old. So this is new and this is old. The reason why I said to do that is because we can use the following format to set up an equation. New over old is equal to new over old. All right, we can set up a proportion in that way. So, for example, look at the blue corresponding sides. If I do new over old, that's going to be 52 over, and let's call this x instead of a question mark. So that will be 52 over x. Now, if I do new over old with the yellow sides, that'll be 56 over 154. So 56 over 154. All right, so new over old equals new over old. And then we can cross multiply. So we can make a new equation by multiplying these together. So we have 56x equals, and then we can multiply these together. So 52 times 154. All right, so that turned out to be 8,008. And then I can divide both sides by 56. So I'm just using my calculator. Divided by 56 is 143. Okay, so let's see if we can do something similar on problem number 2. Okay, again, the most important thing is matching up your corresponding sides. So let's see what we have. We have side AB. Okay, so here's side AB, and that should correspond with side DE. And here's DE right here. So those are corresponding sides. Okay, now how about CA? All right, I see CA right here. Well, CA is like the beginning and end. So that'll be DF, which is over here. So those are corresponding parts, corresponding sides. So remember, my strategy is new over old equals new over old. I don't think it matters which one you call new and which one you call old. So I think this time I'll call this one new and I'll call this one old. So if I set up my proportion in the form new over old, so first let's do the blue new over old. So and again, I'm going to call this x. So that would be x over 15. All right, new over old with the blue. Now we can do new over old with the yellow. So that would be 117 over 27. And then we cross multiply. So we can make a new equation by multiplying these. So that'll be 27, that'll be 27x. And then we will multiply these. All right, 15 times 117. I'm just grabbing my calculator here. 15 times 117. That turns out to be 1,755. Running out of space. Then we will divide both sides by 27. And that should be it. So divided by 27 is 65. So x is equal to 65. All right, let's keep practicing. Okay, so I see my question mark right here. That is side QR. So here's QR right here. That's going to correspond with GH. And here's GH over here. So let's just match up those corresponding sides as our first step. Then I see the 50. That's RS. Oh, I forgot to erase my yellow. Okay, my 50 is RS. So here's RS right here. That's going to correspond with FG. So here's FG. So now we have matched up the corresponding sides. I'm going to call this one new and this one old. So I can set up my proportion in the form new over old equals new over old. Let's start with the yellows. If I do new over old, and I'm going to call this x instead of the question mark, that's going to be x over 104. Now I'm going to do new over old with the greens, and that'll be 50 over 130. Then it's time to cross multiply. So if I multiply those together, that's going to just be 130x equals, and then on the other side, I multiply these together. And I'm just reaching for my calculator. 104 times 50, that is 5,200. And so all I have to do then is divide both sides by 130. So divided by 130, and I'm getting x is equal to 40. All right, let's keep practicing. So far, so good. All right, here's my question mark, CD. So here's CD right here, so that's going to correspond with ST. And here's ST right here. So now those are yellow. All right, starting over. I see I have another number at 60 is at RS. Here's RS right here. That's going to correspond with BC, and here's BC. So now we have matched up those corresponding sides. So let's get ready to set up our proportion by doing new over old is equal to new over old. So just label one of these as new and one of these as old. For this, it doesn't matter. All right, I'm going to pick this one to be new, and I'll pick this one to be old. So let's start with the yellows, and I'll call this X. So new over old will be x over 108. Okay, just matching up those yellows. Now I'm going to match up the blue, but I'm going to make sure to do new over old. So that'll be 25 over 60. So when we cross multiply, we're going to have 60x is equal to, and then on the other side of the equation, we're going to multiply 108 times 25. So just grabbing the calculator, and I'm getting 2,700. And the last step is to just divide both sides by 60. So that's going to give us x equals, all right, so divided by 60, and I'm getting 45. All right, let's see what's coming next. Okay, so this isn't really very different. They just happen to be touching, but that really doesn't change anything about how we're going to do the problem. So here's my question mark, that's TV. Here's TV, the beginning and end. That's going to correspond with TC. TC is this guy right here. All right, so the yellow is corresponding. All right, I see this 154. That's TU. TU is going to correspond with TB. Here's TB. So now we've matched up the corresponding sides. So remember, we're going to go new over old is equal to new over old. All right, I'm just going to call this one new, and I'm going to call this one old. Doesn't really matter. So if I set up new over old, let's start with the yellows. I'll call this x. So new over old will be x over 27, yellow over yellow. Now let's do the blues. New over old, so that would be 154 divided by 33. Now we can set up our new equation by cross multiplying. All right, we will multiply these together. So that'll give me 33x on one side of the equation. And then we will multiply these together. So grabbing my calculator, we have 27 times 154. So that's going to be 4,158. And then you just divide both sides by 33. Divided by 33 gives me 126. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's do it again. Having so much fun. So here's my question mark. That's EL. So here's EL right here. That's going to correspond with KL, which is right here. So those are corresponding. Okay, we have this 24. That's FL. Hold on, I forgot to erase my yellowness. FL. That's the beginning and end over here. So that's going to correspond with LJ. All right, and here's LJ right here. Boom, so they correspond. So let's label these as new and old. All right, and let's set up our proportion by doing new over old is equal to new over old. So for the yellows, new over old is x over 50. For the blues, new over old is 24 over 40. Now we cross multiply. So let's multiply along this diagonal, and we get 40x equals. And then let's multiply along this diagonal. So in my calculator, I'm typing in 50 times 24, and that is 1,200. And then we divide both sides by 40, and we see what we get. Divided by 40, x is equal to 30. Good times. Good times. All right, we are down to the last two problems, guys. All right, I feel like we just got started. So I see you, Mr. Question Mark. That is UL. So UL, that's the beginning and end. So that's going to correspond with LN. LN is right here. So those are corresponding. Okay, see the 24? That's TL. TL is right here. That's going to correspond with LM. LM is right here. So now that we have matched up the corresponding sides, let's label the triangles as new and old. So we can keep track when we set up our proportion as, you guessed it, new over old equals new over old. Feel like we've done the same problem 7 times in a row. All right, so looking at the yellows, new over old will be x over 55. Looking at the blues, new over old will be 24 over 40. All right, time to cross multiply. If we multiply along this diagonal, that will give us 40x. And then if we multiply along this diagonal, so in my calculator, I'm typing 55 times 24, and I'm getting 1,320. And then I divide both sides by 40. So divided by 40. And that gives me 33. All right, last one. I'm sure it will be just as easy as this whole video. So the question mark is at PD. PD is the beginning and the end. So that's going to correspond with PR. Okay, PR is right here. So those are corresponding. Let's pick another number like see the 20. CP. Oh, I forgot to erase my little marks first. Yep. So the little 20 is CP. Okay, so here's CP right here. So that's going to correspond with PQ, and here's PQ right there. Okay, so label one triangle as new and label the other one as old. So we can set up the proportion in the form new over old equals new over old. Okay, so if we start with the yellows, new over old is going to be x over 91. Let's move on to the blues. New over old will be 20 over 70. Time to cross multiply. If we multiply along this diagonal, we get 70x. If we multiply along the other diagonal, so I'm reaching for my calculator and I'm typing in 91 times 20, and I'm getting 1,820. That just leaves me to divide both sides by 70. So divided by 70 in the calculator gives me 26. I hope you had half as much fun as I did.